This was a big story last year in January. This is before we actually started the podcast. I think we started in February, right? Did we start in February?
Yeah, we started in February.
Yeah. So this LAPD officer got shot and killed. He was off duty. Let me say that he was an off duty officer that got shot and killed over in LA. I'm gonna play this quick clip and we're gonna talk about what happened to these guys that got arrested for it shortly thereafter. But it was a huge story when it happened, and then it just kind of went away. Let me play this quick clip here. Here we go.
Entirely switch gears here right now and go back to a story that I actually broke to you right here on Live Now from Fox yesterday. Several people have been detained in the shooting death of an off-duty LAPD officer in South LA. This is video that we brought to you yesterday of the procession as his former colleagues brought him his body, his flag-draped casket, to the medical examiner's office. It was quite a somber moment there. Meanwhile, we're also learning more about the young officer who had a promising future. He was allegedly with his girlfriend when all of this happened. So Mario Ramirez is outside of the LAPD station in the Pico Union neighborhood, joining us live with more details on this investigation. Mario, this was such a heartbreaking story that we brought our viewers yesterday. So what are we learning as this investigation has progressed over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, well, we know several people have been taken into custody for questioning. No official charges have been filed, no official arrests, but we are waiting for more information on that. Meanwhile, it's really been a tough week for local law enforcement and first responders. Last week, we were talking about an LA County firefighter who died on the job during a house fire, and now this off-duty LAPD officer who was shot and killed during an alleged attempted robbery in South LA. And we're at that police station where he was stationed here in the Pico Union neighborhood, just west of downtown LA. We'll show you his picture here. 27-year-old Fernando Arroyos, who was a 3-year veteran with the LAPD, shot and killed Monday night in a South LA neighborhood while with his girlfriend looking at a home they were interested in buying. Before, the couple was targeted by at least 3 men in a black pickup truck in what authorities describe as an attempted armed robbery.
All right, I'll stop it there because what I wanted to talk about is this officer, Arroyos, was allegedly house shopping in his neighborhood off of Florence. I mean, I don't know if it's not his neighborhood, but he was in the Florence neighborhood. But he was house shopping at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. This is when he got shot. This is when these guys robbed and shot him. And I just always found that bizarre that someone would be house shopping at like 9 p.m. at night when it's clearly dark. Do you remember this story at all from a year ago or over a year ago?
Yeah, I don't actually. I read about it, but no, I don't remember specifically.
Yeah. So when it was reported that he was house shopping, a lot of people thought that there's something fishy going on here. Who the heck house shops at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night? And what was really going on with this officer who was with his girlfriend when he got robbed and shot and killed by some gang members allegedly? But here's the thing: three gang members were just pled guilty. Luis Alfredo Rosa Rios, Ernesto Cisneros, 24 years old. Luis is 29 years old, and Jesse Contreras, 35 years old. All pled guilty to killing Officer Fernando Arroyos. And my question is, why would these guys plead guilty on a case where they're going to get stretched out on? Why not make the government take them to court? This is a federal case, by the way. Why not just say, hey, take me to trial? You know, why plead guilty to murder? Because you're going to you're not getting a deal pleading guilty to murder, right?
Well, basically, they damn near did. You know, they probably spared them their life. You know, from what I read, you know, that they looking at between, two of them is looking at between 35 and 50, and one of them is looking at up to 35. So you got to understand, depending if you're 24 years old, Alex, and you get 35 years and shit, you got action coming back home. You know what I mean? So the feds, they run their shit a little different. They have different guidelines. They have different rules when fighting these murder cases, and it's a lot of people that I've seen in federal institutions with murders, then they didn't have a L behind it. You know what I mean? They just had a whole bunch of time, 40 years, So these dudes might have did plead guilty, and that probably was the deal. Well, we gonna keep it for two of them, we gonna keep it between 35 and 50. We're not going to give you the death penalty. We're not going to give you a life sentence behind it. So that's why I really believe that they took the time like that, and they took it fast, because it's only been a year. In the state, you fight a murder 3-4 years before you even get to a resolution. Feds came at them swift and fast. Look, this what we got. This what we don't have. Here go a deal for 35 to 50. Y'all sign this, or that's what the prosecution recommended, 35 to 50. The judge can give them 27. You know what I mean? So depending on who played what role, depending on, what they know is all the facts, they definitely can, definitely took the plea agreement, Alex, based on they might have promised them a range,
Yeah, and this was supposed to be a state case, but the sheriff Villanueva, who was the sheriff at the time, he did not want to take this to George Gascon. He did not want this case to be tried by the LA County prosecutors, because he believed, he falsely believed that George Gascon was just somehow going to give these people, a deal to where they weren't going to go to prison, which is crazy. So he sent this case to the feds, and they picked it up pretty quick. And here we are, 18 months later, and it's pretty much done. They're all going to prison. All three of these guys pled guilty, but there's still some unanswered questions on why was this off-duty police officer shopping for houses in the hood at 9 p.m. at night, and I couldn't find that answer addressed anywhere, man. Do you find that bizarre at all?
Well, I'm gonna go back to the first part where you said that they might have didn't want to take it to Gascon and shit, but they probably would have got an L had they took it to the state. They might have been better off taking it to the state, Alice, because they probably could have got 25 with an L on it. A lot of times you get that L nowadays, man. It's hard, very, very hard to come home from it. When you go to the feds and you don't get that L, you got a date. You know what I mean? Like I said, if the 24-year-old get 35, he got a date. You know what I mean? He go do 29 off of it and come home, So I think they would have been better off taking it to the state, from their perspective, because they probably would have got the L in the state. Now, as far as him out house shopping at 9 o'clock at night, well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Alex. When I go house shopping, I do that shit. I go see some houses I want, and what I do is I go back to that neighborhood at night just to see what's going on in that neighborhood. It could have been a situation to see who hangs out. If he finna try to, buy a house where gang members hang out in front of his house or down the street, or it could have been a situation, where a nagging wife, come on, honey, I want to see it again. I want to see it again. You know how the wives get, and he drove out there to see it. So then, but you never know. Why was he trying to move that deep in the hood? I don't know. I understand he want to be a pillar of the community that he work in, but at the same time, bro, you ain't exempt. As these some of these officers think they're exempt. When you take that badge off, homie, you a regular person in the streets and in the eyes of other people. And just like you saw at this moment, they jumped out on you, robbed you. How it all went wrong, I don't know. But at the same time, man, you lost your life. Trying to move in the hood, because if you wasn't looking for that house in the hood, you wouldn't have been there to get robbed. So, some circumstances of that. It's a reason that people, like myself and like others, we don't live in the hood no more. You know what I mean? We don't give people that action, to just randomly, we try to move in decent neighborhood. And if this dude had any kids, I don't know, he was kind of young, so he made it didn't have any kids. But if he did, Alex, who want to, you want to raise your kids right there in the hood? Yeah, you could send them to private school, but they can't walk to the store. They can't go out and play in the street. They can't ride their big wheels around the corners without sometimes it being some kind of dangers. You know what I mean? So, you right. It sounds fishy, but it's many reasons he could have been over there, man, looking at that time of night.
Yeah, man. It says here in this indictment explanation, it says the three gang members pled guilty Thursday before U.S. District Judge Percy Anderson, who scheduled sentencing hearings on September 25th for Rios and Contreras and October 16th sentencing for Cisneros. As a result of their guilty plea, each defendant faces a statutory maximum sentence of life in federal prison. Prosecutors have agreed to seek terms of between 35 and 50 years in prison for Rios and Cisneros, and a prison term of 35 years for Contreras. So back to what you were saying, FG, they might have got a better sentence at the feds because at least Cisneros looks like he's looking at a flat 35.
Right, no
So
doubt.
so
Yeah.
that means he's coming home, in probably like what 85% in 30 years. Whereas in the state, they could have just kept denying him parole for the rest of his life.
No doubt, no doubt. And when that date come in that feds, they're gonna let him out. So yeah, they might have came, and then don't forget, Alex. You've been in uh um uh read paperwork and been in court and witnessed many murder cases. Some of these murder cases don't be as airtight as people think. They think because you're arrested for murder that these people have all the details. You finna get locked up, but when we talking about taking a person's life for a murder conviction, you know what I mean? It has to be within a reasonable doubt, and sometimes you don't get that. So, I don't know all the details of how much they knew about this situation. At the end, it seemed like they knew. Maybe they pleaded guilty to that, but in the beginning, they probably wasn't saying nothing, and they didn't have a whole lot. You know what I mean? So, could have just been a situation where, listen, man, we not even finna, we gonna offer them this, and let's go about our business, because it seemed like they would have been trying to get a death penalty or something for a police officer.
Yeah, man. And for those who haven't figured it out, all three of these guys, they're from Florence 13. And what's funny, when I'm reading this paperwork, it got their nicknames, and it similar to the way when we read your indictment, it says Frank Thornton, aka FG. Like they put your name in your nickname, your street name in the official government document. So they got Luis Alfredo as Little Malo. They got Ernesto Cisneros as Spooky, and they got Jesse Contreras as Flacco. Like, do they really need to put these names in the paperwork? I just think it's unnecessary, and it doesn't really make a difference.
No doubt, but at the same time, man, they also let you know that they know they just speaking exactly to you. Some people have similar names. It's other, Frank Thorntons out there. But at the same time, man, you know what I mean. They gonna make sure that this is you, bro. You know what I mean. We gonna put your your government. We gonna put your moniker. We gonna put all that in there, man, and let you know we know what's going on. So, and then not to mention, Alex, like I say, man, we used to see that state of California, Frank Thornton versus the state of California, on your paperwork, you didn't get that scared, but when you see that United States of America versus, and it's your name, man, you be like, damn, I done pissed off the whole United States of America, and ain't nothing to play with, homie. So, but I do think, if these guys are guilty and they took that deal, man, I think that was the best thing for them, just to be honest with you.